Nobody cares about the Big 12 though, because the Big 12 sucks, and like that's why people vouching for y'all. Like y'all about to start getting Notre Dame treatment. People about to stop vouching for y'all to go to the playoffs because y'all do the same thing every time y'all get in. I mean, I know OU sucks, but don't get mad about it. Now, don't throw picks because OU sucks now.
No, you can keep doing it.
You're saying the Big 12 is not good because you're an SEC fan.
No, I'm saying the Big 12 is not good because everybody knows the Big 12 sucks. The Big 12 plays no defense.
So you're saying five teams that are worth mentioning in the SEC are better than the Big 12. Let me tell you who's good in the SEC. LSU, Alabama, maybe Florida. All right, we're ready.
Hello, all our listeners. You're tuned in to Sports Talk on TMN, and this is your boy Amari, and I'm here with Christian Phillips. How you doing today, Christian?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, man. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Got to see a few teams stay undefeated in the NFL. How was yours?
I mean, Georgia lost, so that Saturday didn't go good. But yeah, the Eagles lost Sunday, so that Sunday didn't go good either. So not good at all. Yeah. I was a loser all weekend.
If Georgia loses one more, then they're going to be in the same category as Oklahoma. Welcome to the club.
I mean, let's compare losses though, if we really want to go there.
No, we'll skip right into it. Obviously, so. We're seeing a few teams surprisingly stay undefeated. The Tennessee Titans are currently at 5-0. Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger came back after missing, basically all of last season with an injury. He took Pittsburgh to 5-0 against Cleveland.
On fire.
Yeah, they won 38-7. But you got to highlight the freshman or the rookie in this case, Claypool.
Yeah,
He's been a workhorse for him.
He's working for sure, but like I said, bro, like we talked about this on Talking Nonsense. When you got like a number one receiver, it opens it up for a number two to go off. And I'm not saying Juju is a top 5 receiver or anything, but he's a true number one receiver, and he's the best receiver on that team. So teams going to the week game planning for Juju and like focusing on Juju in 2 weeks in a row. This guy has went off on that.
Yeah, and James Conner has stepped up his production as well. 20 carries, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown. Mm-hmm. So obviously that helps a lot.
That's pretty good. But you know what's really rocking over there? Their defense.
Yeah,
defense
before Barkley got hurt. When they were playing New York, he held them to
single digit rushing. It was like -2 yards.
Yeah, and I said that when I watched that game, Pittsburgh's defense was the best in the leagues. It doesn't matter if it's the first game or second game. They held a future Hall of Famer running back to basically like 2 rushing yards in that game.
I don't know about future Hall of Famer. He hasn't. He has the name, but he has not done enough to this point. This is year 3. He just got hurt. He has not done enough to this point to earn that title. But I will say the Pittsburgh defense is playing like the best in the league, legitimately. Every week too. But you know who else is looking good
Tennessee
as a
Titans.
defense? I was gonna say as a defense, the Miami Dolphins.
That's surprising.
They're number 1 scoring defense in the league. And they are number 2 third down defense in the league, and they're 3-3 right now.
I like to highlight how well Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing.
No, all around offense and defense in Miami is picking up, and I want to take the time out to send a big shout out to Brian Flores, the African American head coach down in Miami, who a lot of people doubted and said that he shouldn't have got that job.
He was on the chopping block. People are already saying, if he has a down year, how is he going to handle Tua Tagovailoa?
Yeah.
If he starts them, and they go, they have a below 500 season, is he going to get fired? So he's dealt with this,
the pressure,
the pressure really well.
He's living up. He's playing well. He's coaching well under pressure right now.
Yeah, and we saw Tua Tagovailoa. He entered the game this past weekend for a few snaps. He was completing them. Obviously, they're not going to put him in, in crucial situations, but there's no reason to put Tua in if a veteran, Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing at that level.
It's his rookie year.
3-3 right now.
Yeah, it's his rookie year, and like 3-3 isn't great. It's 500, but for the Dolphins, that's doing very well. Definitely after they blowed out the 49ers last week.
Yeah, and I think that Fitzpatrick knows that he's not the permanent quarterback there. Yeah. He knows that they're priming.
But he's never been a permanent quarterback anywhere.
He goes from team to team, but he just gets it done when he needs to.
Like he's another Josh McCown.
Yeah.
If you know, Josh McCown is the granddaddy of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Right now, is it like the Eagles? Right now, he's on a contract. He's on a contract where he works from home, like not even in the same state as the team that signed him as an emergency quarterback.
Yeah, he's like a substitute teacher, but in this case, he actually gets things done.
He teaches. He goes out and he's teaching the young guy behind him.
He's not coming into the franchise and doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
He wants to succeed there.
You gotta love him. But Titans still undefeated. I think that they're probably, of the 4 undefeated teams in the league, I think they might be the worst.
They're the worst?
Out of the 4 undefeated teams.
I don't know. I think that, one, Ryan Tannehill is playing really well in the passing game. Last year was all about Derrick Henry. Can Derrick Henry get over 200 yards basically to carry this team? And when we saw
he's still doing that.
Yeah, we saw him this past week and go for 212. Yeah. But Ryan threw for over 300 yards. But that's not a Ryan Tannehill we've seen in previous seasons.
No. Hold on. I hate when people say that. Tannehill has never been bad. No, even in Miami, he was never the problem in Miami.
I don't think he was bad. I think it was consistency was his issue.
No. Well, what was consistent in Miami around him? Nothing around him was consistent. So, like, I don't know what people expect. Like, they expect people to stay the same when everything around them changes. But now in Tennessee, he's been consistent in his play, right? Well, everything around him is staying the same week in and week out.
I mean, and I will say that Miami did have a few pieces that Ryan Tannehill could work with.
Yeah.
It's obviously it was a system issue for Ryan Tannehill.
Nah.
When you have a running back, and I say this the same about Dak Prescott in their first season. Dak Prescott thrived in that system because their running game was so good. I don't think if Derrick Henry's production was cut off by 50%, Ryan Tannehill, I don't think he could produce like he is right now.
I think you're wrong. I'm going to tell you what was the biggest problem in Miami. Aside from receivers being hurt week in and week out, the offensive line was terrible. They were terrible. That's how you got hurt.
Yeah, in the Tennessee system, they know that if you don't, their system won't thrive unless they have an offensive line.
Yeah, and they have a great offensive line. So he was never the problem in Miami. Like, he never sucked in Miami.
Yeah.
You can never place more than 2 games on Tannehill's back. Like, as far as like losses went. But like I said, in Tennessee, everything is smooth. Miami made the playoffs one year at Tannehill, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was a year he got hurt during the season, but he set them up to go to the playoffs.
And I disagree with you that they're the worst undefeated, because they were able to be off 2 weeks and then go play the Bills and absolutely handle the Bills.
But they should have lost to the 1-5 Texans yesterday.
Texans are a lot better than what you think, though.
They should have lost.
This is a very competitive league.
No,
so
the Texans. I'm not saying that, but they should have lost to the 1-5 Texans yesterday, and they should have scored more points on the 1-5 Texans yesterday too. We talked about it early off air. The Texans game literally came down to Mike Vrabel taking that shady 12-man on the field penalty to stop the clock so he can get time to go down and score, which the Texans offense did the Titans offense did what they had to do, and obviously the NFL and its overtime rules is kind of questionable. Like, I see where people concerns with it come from, but I feel like it's only like all right, you want to win the game overtime. I look at it like this: you want to win the game overtime, get a stop. But other people look at it like, nah, you want to win the game overtime, make it a fair chance, give both offenses a chance to score. Nah, get your defense to get a stop.
Yeah, and this is the Steelers' first 5-0 start since 1978, and I mean they just beat the Browns 38-7.
But I'm gonna tell you what, I feel like the Titans are the worst 5-0 team because I feel like they have the worst defense that complements their offense in all 5-0 teams, which are the Seahawks, Titans, Steelers, and we got one more out there.
That's surprising.
Why you feel like that?
I feel like they've always had a good team, especially when Le'Veon Bell was there, Antonio Brown.
This is the thing: the NFL season is so long. Like,
yeah,
you might play your hardest game in week 2, and then cruise through another 6 games, have a hard game. Like, it just depends on how your schedule lines up. I don't think they've had like a tough opponent yet. Who they beat?
I would say that their toughest opponent
was
probably the Browns.
And Baker Mayfield looked trash Sunday.
He did have a bruised rib, and he was not 100%. I think it was last-minute decision to put him in the game. I think the Cleveland Browns had a lot of momentum.
I'm rolling my eyes because he's a quarterback. Like,
I know. Their toughest game, they have not played their toughest game. Their toughest game is actually going to be against the Titans on the 25th.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, some teams get those tough games in week 2 and week 3, and that's when they fall. But they still might go win a Super Bowl, even though they lost in week 2 or week 3. Like,
yeah, they have a very difficult 2-game stretch. They're at the Titans, then at the Ravens, and they're all in the the same division. So the AFC North, they're about to see who's going to be holding that number one spot.
But going back to the 5-0 teams, we got 3 5-0 teams. Seahawks.
The Ravens are in the AFC North. That's who I'm.
Seahawks,
2 top competitors.
Seahawks, Steelers, Titans. Just based on the Seahawks having the best quarterback of those 3, I make them my number 2 team behind the Steelers because the Steelers have the best defense with a good quarterback. Seahawks defense is like if they have their guys in, they're great. But if like one dude goes down, they're iffy. Like they're real big on their pieces. Mm-hmm. So like when their corners are healthy, when the safeties are healthy, it don't matter who they put on D-line. Like that's what we figured out about the Seahawks. Once that back 7 is good, it's all good.
And I think that they've struggled their first 5 games.
Who?
With separating themselves from the latter half of the league. I think they've let offenses score a little bit too much points on them.
Who they play last week? It came
Vikings. They won 27-26 against the Vikings team.
I think all their games have came down to a game-winning touchdown. At least 4 of them have.
And that's why I know in previous episodes I talked about that the Seahawks were within my top 3, but as I'm getting deeper into analyzing them,
They're still there.
I think they're top 5.
They're still there.
I wouldn't put them in the top 3 based on record.
Just based off football though, like
a win is a win. Like, I'll give you that.
It's hard. It's hard. Like no matter what, and it's even harder to do it when you know the pressure is on. And every week that pressure is on for Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf because like the game-winning touchdowns have all been to the same person.
And they have 11 games left. I mean, it's a long season, so we'll see if their defensive struggles are going to catch up with them at some point.
But
they have the potential.
Like I said, I feel like the Seahawks with their coaching staff and that organization, they get better as the season goes. Not saying they're gonna go defeated. They're gonna drop 1 or 2, maybe 4. But of that 4, one of them's gonna be like the last game of the season when they already got the playoff spot clinched, and then the other 2 or 3 gonna be close games to great teams.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like this season there's a lot of great teams.
I feel like the Titans will get stopped before the Seahawks will, because a quarterback can have Russell Wilson doesn't have bad days, but a regular quarterback can have a bad game any given game, and it could be the game that a team decides to stop Derrick Henry.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Chicago Bears are sitting at 5-1. I think that's the most surprising start to a season that a team can get right now.
Why does that surprise you so much when Mitch's rookie year they lost like 3 games the whole season?
Well, and that was the worst. That was week in and week out. No, they are doing the bare minimum to win the game.
You know why you escape though on the back end? Because you got a defense like theirs. On the back end when teams got to drive the ball. How do you drive the ball with Khalil Mack pass rushing? A game-winning drive.
Is this going to be a season we saw the Denver Broncos win Super Bowl 50 with the defense. Their offense was pretty porous. Yeah. So, I mean, it's happened before. So, I mean, is this a potential Bears team that could do that?
I think, and I'm going to say I feel like it's that way because I feel like this offense only being 6 weeks in has the potential to be way better than the Broncos offense was when they won Super Bowl 50.
Especially with Nick Foles in the backfield, he has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and not dissing on the Broncos offense, but Peyton Manning was washed that year.
Yeah,
and he was washed all the way to a Super Bowl. He rode the coattail of that defense. He scored what? The offense scored 10 points in that Super Bowl.
The defense was,
the only touchdown came from when Von Miller script sacked Cam Newton inside the 5.
There is, without a doubt, that defense won the Super Bowl. There was absolutely no contribution from the offense.
Yeah.
But on to the more surprising side of which teams are really sucking it up. The Patriots, I had them in my top 5, and they're 2-3 right now. Cam Newton seems to be struggling. Threw 2 picks, and they just lost to a pretty bad Broncos team.
Well, they lost to a Broncos team, yeah, but Broncos always play the Patriots pretty good. 1 and 2, Cam Newton was fresh off a 2-week vacation or quarantine where. You coming in like you in the NFL, bro. You take 2 weeks off. Unless you got Derrick Henry in the backfield, you might be a little rusty.
Yeah, but it's not going to get any easier for them. They have the 49ers, Bills. Their next rollover game is going to be the Jets.
49ers not as good as advertised. They're not that same team. They beat the Rams last night. Yeah, but
they're banged up on defense.
Yeah, they're definitely not the same team that was there a year ago. The Dolphins beat them. The Dolphins blowed them out.
Their first couple of games obviously didn't do them any favors by losing players to injuries, and now you're trying to fight back from that. So. New England has a lot of room to improve. I think they're at like a 10-6 team this season.
And 10-6 is not bad at all in the NFL. But I feel like they won't make the playoffs at 10-6 if the Dolphins are 11-5 and the Bills are 12-4.
That's tough. I don't even think Miami's going to make 11-5.
I mean, they might not.
I mean, because the AFC East, you still have Buffalo. Obviously, New York's not in contention because they're 0-6, and they're like the equivalents of the New York Knicks and the NBA. So probably even worse.
But I don't know, man. It gets tough in the NFL. But moreover, moving on to another surprising thing from yesterday, Packers came out up 10-0, had all the momentum and threw 2 pick sixes and let Tampa Bay roll them after that. How do you feel about that?
Tampa Bay is starting to get their offense going. I mean, Tom Brady, I think he's settling within the system. And I think a big key factor to that game was their running game.
I say this all the time, and I sound like a tape recorder. Momentum is big in sports. 10-0, and Aaron Jones is on the sideline with his macho man Randy Savage, shades on and headband on and getting posted on ESPN. 3 plays later. 3 plays later, you're down 14-10 in Tampa. Everything you had going for you is gone. And everything that they want to do is not picking up.
Yeah, and obviously that Tampa Bay defense was pressuring Aaron Rodgers, every snap. Didn't have time to throw the ball. They seemed to be a little bit off sync with his wide receivers. Couldn't get the running game going because the defensive front for Tampa was getting too much penetration. The Green Bay season, obviously, is not over. They've lost 1 game. They came in undefeated,
Tampa won't win the Super Bowl though. If the Saints pick it back up, they won't be the best team I still don't think they're the best team in their division.
Absolutely. And I honestly I've never understood why people are saying that Drew Brees is washed up by the way he's performing. His best player's out. Yeah. That is a valid excuse. His best player is out on offense. So
but Drew can't throw the ball down the field no more too. And like he can't dink and dunk all the way down the field no more. Like that's just not the league we're playing in anymore. You gotta be able to take shots. And that's where I feel like saying he's washed come in at. Like when you can't take shots down the field anymore because your arm won't let you, you're washed. Now he's still a great football mind. He's still a good quarterback. But washed is when you lose what you had that made you great.
Yeah, and
that made you elite. Like
I don't think they've opened up their offense like that just yet. At the beginning of the season, I mean, he still has 1,300 yards. Mm-hmm. He has a QBR of 77.7. I think a big issue right now is that their running game's pretty bad. Alvin Kamara obviously has to do a lot better job, but that starts with the O-line. Yeah. And I also say that defenses are starting to, piece together strategies to contain Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I think the team that has executed it very well, obviously, were the Raiders.
When you got dudes like that, like it's hard enough. Teams have problems stopping one dude. So, like, how am I going to say, like, defenses are, like, coming up with strategies to stop 2 dudes? Like, I feel like Patrick Mahomes, a bunch of the plays that he made, like, on top of having those guys there, were where he can get out the pocket and buy time. Or, like, not even get out the pocket, but buy time in the pocket. He has not been able to do that this year. Mm-hmm. And he has not been able to come up with those 3rd and long plays and those big plays that where he has 6 to 8 seconds to throw the ball because his O-line is terrible.
Yeah, and I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, offensive line may be struggling right now, but the defenses are getting better at guarding the Chiefs, and you saw it against the Patriots. Patriots were supposed to beat the Chiefs because of their defensive scheme.
Don't say it started with the Patriots, because the Patriots always had the key to Patrick Mahomes. It's whenever he can get going, and he got going in the 4th versus them. But like since he's been a starter in this league, the one team that had the game plan for them were the Patriots. Mm. Always.
And if you watch the games against the Chiefs, teams that are successful with containing Travis Kelce and, Tyreek Hill and all them, they're being physical,
at the point of
attack.
Yeah.
And when they were playing the Patriots, you saw their linebackers. When Travis Kelce was trying to settle down in the defense, before that 5-yard stretch and you can make contact, they were knocking him off his feet.
Yeah, no, you got to be like that.
If you let him get off, if you let him get past you, you're not going to win.
He's too big. I will say a lot of teams have being scared of their linebackers guarding Travis Kelce. And that's where I feel like that's where they get messed up, because they try to put these defensive backs on him that are like just too small, and he boxes them out, and like they don't touch him, they just try to cover him, and like they might have good coverage, but his body is so big that he gets better positioning.
Yeah, I mean, some of these linebackers are running, pretty fast 40s. So it all starts with confidence, obviously, and in order to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have a good linebacking core. Yeah.
Going back to the Chargers game, the game where all the struggle started, the formula was there. Let your D-line pin their ears back and go at Pat. And every team that has found the answer, that has figured that out, their success versus the Chiefs only lasts as long as their D-line can go. Mm-hmm. For the Raiders, it lasted all game. And not even really all game. It lasted until late game. And Patrick Mahomes started doing his thing again, but then he threw that pick.
I preach this about prolific offenses in college football, and it applies to the NFL too. When you're facing a really good offense and your defensive scheme is prevent, you're not going to be very successful because obviously you're not lining up at the point of attack, but you're lining up 5-10 yards back from the line of scrimmage. And if you're going to play the Chiefs, they're going to pick you apart. Patrick Mahomes is going to take what you're going to give him, and that's why the Patriots have been successful. That's why the Chargers were successful. That's why the Raiders were the first team to beat them this season. So it all starts with physicality. But anyways, as we transition, as of right now, who do you have in your top 5?
I'm going to go 3 undefeateds first. Steelers, Seahawks, Titans. And then 4 or 5, I'll go Chiefs, Bears. Because the Bears' defense is so great.
Well, I had the Packers pretty high up there. I was bouncing them back at 1 and 2. When they were at 3-0, 4-0. But
I can put the Packers at 5 actually because their offense is way better than the Bears' offense. Like I know they had a bad week yesterday, but their offense is still greater. It's still good enough and still has Aaron Rodgers. So I'll put them over the Bears.
Yeah, my top 5 would be Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Seahawks, Bears, and then Packers.
That's not a bad one. I'll go outside looking in. I'll go Ravens, Bears.
Yeah, obviously you have Kansas City and the Ravens sitting right there. It's just they're not the best teams right now.
Yeah, no, they haven't played like it. Which the Ravens lost to Kansas City, but they just I think people are getting used to the Ravens being good. So like them being good this year compared to the teams that are like we just named is something new. Like these teams haven't been this good the past 2 or 3 years. The Ravens has. So the Ravens have to just go out and dominate everybody for them to be like 6-0 and people still be considering them the best team in the league. But they're winning. They're 5-1, but they're not just showing pure dominance week in and week out. And that's the reason why I have them not in my top 5. Because we know you're good, but like it's good. Just is like, are you going to take the next step? Are you better than last year?
Absolutely, and I won't even make Super Bowl predictions until at least every team has played 10 games.
Yeah, that's fair. It's tough.
It's a long season.
The Raiders could end up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Derek Carr came out and said he's tired of losing.
And
Gruden's tired of losing.
Yeah, John Gruden is coaching his butt off right now. And once their O-line wasn't healthy for a while. If their O-line is healthy by week 8.
And they have a lot of good players. They have Waller.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs, Henry Ruggs.
They have a lot of players that can compete with Kansas City.
They got a lot of good players. They got a lot of young dogs. Like they got some receivers that are no names that are dogs.
Yeah.
So like the Raiders are fun to watch.
Well, that is going to do it for us today. I'm Christian Phillips, and that's Amari. See you next week.